Welcome to Delay the Decay, a podcast for unashamedly ambitious people who want to live longer, lead better, and love deeper, and prioritize what matters most. I'm your host, Dan Hardy, coach, entrepreneur, and former pastor. My passion is to help others live a life of intentional direction and set perfection aside. And what makes this show great are my guests. This is the 30th episode. We've done 29 episodes in a row, 29 weeks in a row, and I love it. It's the highlight of my week. I trust that if you are a follower and a regular listener, I trust that you're being encouraged and that you're being built up. And if you have any suggestions of guests or questions that I can ask that are deeper and more insightful, I am open to grow. I am very much a man and a host in process, that is striving for a direction, but not perfection. As I mentioned, this is the 30th episode. And we've had some amazing guests. And what makes this episode great beyond the guests, I think, is the format. And that's the host-guest format, where you don't have to listen to me monologue for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or even 15 minutes, but you get to hear insightful questions and honest and vulnerable responses that I trust are building you up. Today, though, it's going to be a little bit different. It's just going to be me and you, and we're going to do a little bit of a monologue. I'll be the speaker, you'll be the listener, and I just trust with some of the stories that I'm going to share and some of the things that that I'm engaged with and that I am that the Lord is using in my life to grow me, that will also encourage you. I don't know if I've talked about this wall behind me before. If you are listening, you're not going to see it. But if you are on YouTube, you'll see this wall behind me. And this is my study at home. And this wall behind me is what I call the wall of fame and shame. And we're not to walk in shame, but I called it that because it's a wall that has some like worldly successes on there, where I was named one of the best stockbrokers in America by Money Magazine. When I became a pastor, the certificate up there. It also has a picture of a garage. You probably can't see that, but it's a garage from a company that I owned, a franchise called Garage Tech, that really ruined us financially for a season. And then there's also up there the Twin Towers of 9/11 that were terrorized and destroyed. Many people were lost. You can see the assassination of J.F. Kennedy. And then up above, at the very height up there, is a picture of Jesus, one of my favorite pictures of Jesus. We don't know what Jesus looked like. We know that he was of Middle Eastern descent, but I like that picture because it's how I envision God. I envision him never having a scowl on his face, never disappointed with me. When I blow it, I picture that smile with an arm reaching down to me, helping me get back up and do it again. Direction, not perfection. And then below Jesus is one of my favorite pictures of me and my wife, Nancy. So that's a little bit about me. I want to just share some things about what I'm learning lately. And first of all, I want to say this, that life is good. Life is good. Life is hard at times. It's not straight up and to the right. It's higher highs and higher lows. But life is good. And the reason that it is good is because God is good. God is loving and God is sovereign. And he is working his goodwill and purpose out in my life. And he's working out his goodwill and purpose in your life. So there's so much to be thankful for. We're going to be celebrating our 46th wedding anniversary this year. I have 3 kids and 3 kids-in-law that we love deeply. And those 3 kids and their spouses have provided us 10 grandkids because, it's all about the grandparents, right? And we love these 10 blessings. And we are also very proud of their parents. They're doing just a great job. We are so happy and content with the friendships that we have in our neighborhood, from the church that I pastored for so long, from the gym that we belong in, and it just goes on and on. So I'm just super thankful. But at the same time, I want to be a man that is characterized by growth. By intentional growth, and growth doesn't come by coasting. It comes through intentionality. So I'm going to give you just some reflections, things that I've been thinking about here lately. One is that at age 68, I still have pride in my flesh to contend with, and I want to just give you a couple examples of that. I wear glasses. I had LASIK, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago, and that took care of my eyesight for a season. But as you get older, you need reading glasses. And so I wear glasses, and that's great because kids wear glasses and old people wear glasses. I actually got Invisalign about a year and a half ago to straighten my teeth. Really didn't have anything wrong. If I could just be completely honest, it was vain that I really wanted to have straighter teeth in this season of life. And so I'm still wearing them, and I probably got another couple months to go. But here's the deal. Here's where pride comes in, is that I need hearing aids. I need hearing aids. And when I think of hearing aids, I think of old people. And it's, what am I doing? I'm old. I'm 68 years old. I don't care what people say that 68 is the new, I don't know, new 67, the new 60. It is old that more than 2/3 of my life is gone, and chances are it's more like 80%. And why do I worry so much about what people are going to think when I am wearing hearing aids? Here's what's more important. In this season of life, I miss so much in conversations. When I'm with a group of people, or even one-on-one with my wife Nancy in a restaurant, I don't always hear everything. And so my mindset is changing, that it is more important for me to be present in the relationships that God has given me, rather than worrying about having a piece of aluminum behind my ear, which actually is a blessing from God, that we live in a day and age where you can put these things behind your ear that can hardly be seen, and that you can hear and be present in conversations. So I wanted to share that with you. I don't know what it is in your life that you are dealing with that is just prideful. You're perceiving the way people might think of you, rather than doing what you can to be present with others. Next is control. For those of you that know me, that's no surprise that I still am dealing with, at this late stage of life, of the desire and the need to be in control. Now, the Lord is gradually opening my hands, and I know cognitively that I don't have ultimate control, but I'm one that when there's a problem, I'm going to try to fix it first. And God's wired me that way, so it's not all bad. But let me give you some examples of some lessons that I've been learning. We just got back from 2 weeks in Europe. We went over there to be a part of the 20-year celebration of a church network in the Czech Republic called the Mayak Network, or the Lighthouse Network. And I had the opportunity to be there with a good friend of mine, Kevin Wolf, 20 years ago on the day that they started the first church. And then it has expanded to 11 churches over those 20 years. And they invited Nancy and I to be a part of that celebration. So we flew back to be a part of that. And we decided while we were there, we would like to see other parts of Europe. So we spent some time in Budapest, Hungary, which Budapest is the way you say it, which I would say now is my favorite city in the world. It is just spectacular. If you haven't been to Budapest, go. It's rich in history. Much of it is sad history, as that country has continually been invaded and oppressed by foreign nations in both World War I, World War II, and before that, the Turkish. And you can learn a lot about history in that city. But the architecture is spectacular. The bridges across the Danube River are just breathtaking. And it's a very walkable city. The food is great as well. And then we also spent time in Bari, Italy. So we spent a significant amount of time over these 2 weeks in 3 different countries. And Bari is an incredible city in southern Italy on the Adriatic coast. And the reason we chose Bari, this is our second time in Italy, is because it's a special place for my mom. And my mom's been to Italy dozens of times, and this is her, I think it's her favorite city, if not a top 3. And it's got the old city Bari that is just a maze of small streets that you can't get a car down. And it's where people still live, and there's lots of shops. It's becoming more and more touristy, as many parts in Europe are. And then they've got the newer part of Bari that is just hopping. There is a walking mall that's probably 10 blocks long that is just every storefront has a store in it, or a restaurant in it, or a gelato place in it. And I didn't see any businesses that were boarded up. There's just a lot of prosperity, actually, all over Europe. I don't know why that surprised me, because I feel like here in America that it's right now, I feel like the economy is a little bit soft, if I may. But in Europe, we didn't experience that. We're experiencing more prosperity. We stayed in a B&B in Bari, and it was owned by a young lady. She couldn't have been much older than mid-30s, and she owned the entire building. So it's just fun to see young entrepreneurs really getting after it in Europe. Something we experienced in Bari, Italy, is we had heard that octopus is a mainstay dish in that part of Italy. And not only is it a mainstay dish cooked, it's a mainstay delicacy raw. And so are sea urchins. And then so are oysters, which is not that big a deal. You can get those anywhere. And we decided that when in Italy, you do what the Italians do. So we went to the dock after the fishermen brought in the octopus, and we ate raw octopus, we ate sea urchin, and then we ate oyster, and we heard that you had to have a beer, and so we shared a beer at about 8:30 or 9 in the morning. Never done that before. Don't judge me for that. It was probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon somewhere in the world. I'm just not sure where that was. But anyway, getting back to control. On our way back, we flew from Bari to Budapest to Frankfurt. We were supposed to go into Chicago and then pick up another flight to Denver. And after 8 hours in the air from Budapest to Frankfurt to almost to Chicago, we got into that airspace and they shut down O'Hara because of wind. So they rerouted us back to Detroit International Airport. And if you really want an exhilarating experience, go to the Detroit Airport. Actually, there's nothing there. The restaurants aren't that great. There's not that great of shops, and there's nowhere to sleep. Let me explain. We arrived in Detroit, and so did a lot of other international flights that got diverted from O'Hara, and they didn't have a gate for us. So we sat on the tarmac in the plane for another 4.5 hours. And I wanted to go into action mode to call United Airlines and find out what the next step was. Do I need to rebook another flight? Do I need to book a hotel? What do I need to do? And I had no bars on my phone. I had nothing on my phone. So I bought a 1 hour internet pass from United Airlines so I could at least get online. And you can't talk to a live agent. It's only an AI bot via internet. And I'm a big fan of AI actually, but like, I want a live person when I need a live person. The bot just kept asking the same questions over and over again. So I'm sitting on this tarmac, and after about 45 minutes of trying, I just took a deep breath and just embraced it. And I want to say this as well. Both Nancy and I were really thankful for humanity at that moment, because I don't know how many people you fit on one of those planes. So let's call it 300-400 people, but people were pretty calm. And there wasn't any yelling. There wasn't any complaining that we heard. So really was just thankful for that. After 4.5 hours on the tarmac, they opened up the gate. We got off the plane around 8:30 in the evening, Detroit time. This would be 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. And to get our luggage, because we were going to have to hunker down for the night. And so we went down through customs to our luggage, and 4 hours later, 2 a.m, we got our luggage. All the hotels were filled up. There were no hotels anywhere in the area that were full. And so we spent the night on the floor at the Detroit airport, and it was great. It was an experience. We had like 16 of those coffees that you get from the machine. We didn't. We had 2 apiece. And then we finally got out of there about 3:30 in the afternoon. But the more I've contemplated it, there are just certain things that we can't control. And it's nobody's fault. I feel like when there's a problem, we want to have a scapegoat. We had so many people go, was it TSA? Was that the problem? Are they on strike? That United, they do that a lot. It wasn't anybody. It was nature. It was God in his providence deciding to give 100-mile-an-hour winds to Chicago, and it wasn't safe to land. And so they took us to the closest airport that could unload an international flight. So anyway, we don't have ultimate control. Here's another one. When we left for Europe, we left on a Sunday, March 1st, and the CrossFit Open had started on Saturday, the last day in February. And I was up in the air whether I was going to do the Open, because I knew that we were going to be out of town for the second workout. If you don't know, in the CrossFit Open, there's 3 workouts. And you can do the first one as early as Thursday evening, and then it ends. You got to have it finished by Monday at 4 Mountain Standard Time. And they do that 3 weeks in a row. So I was there for the first workout. I did it on Saturday. I don't know if that's February 28th or 29th. And it was fine. I didn't at that point know for sure if I was going to do all 3 workouts. But then we were in the Czech Republic for the following Saturday. And I went to a local gym. They didn't have a CrossFit gym, but I went to a local gym and I videotaped that, and I did the workout on my own, and it was fine. And what the goal is for me is just the way I'm wired, is that if you finish in the top 25% in your age group, you go to what they call the quarterfinals. And then if you finish in the top 100 in the quarterfinals, you go to the semifinals. And then if you finish in the top 15 in my age group in the semifinals, you go to the CrossFit Games. In the last 2 years, I made it to the semifinals. I finished 32nd both years, both in a row. Even though there's a large chasm between me at number 32 and the 15th person that goes to CrossFit Games. But I like to push myself. I like to see where I stack up against other people. Anyway, we're on this trip where I did workout 26.2, and then we are now on the weekend of 26.3, the weekend that we're coming back, and I decided I would do the third workout when I get back to Colorado. I would do it on Monday before the 4 o'clock deadline. Well, we were supposed to get back Sunday night, but we got back Monday night. after the deadline. So I had to just let it go. And maybe this is a place to talk about this now, is that if I'm honest, I've enjoyed the last few years of people knowing that I finished 32nd in the world, that I am the top 2% of men my age. Why is that important? And I think what the Lord is doing this year is I have walked back into the gym this year, and people have asked me, are you in the quarterfinals? And I've had to tell them no. And then, of course, I qualify why I'm not. But it's not my identity. I don't want CrossFit or any type of award or any type of recognition ever to be my identity. So anyways, just control what you can control. Leave the outcomes up to the Lord. I guess all my life, I've had some level of relational conflict just because of my wiring. I can be pretty direct. And there are several pockets of relationships, some of them where there apparently is some unresolved conflict that I was unaware of. And then I've got a really dear friend that before I left, we had a misunderstanding. And I reached out a few times to reconcile. And either he's not willing to or he's not ready to. I choose to believe that he's just not ready to. But I'm leaving that outcome to the Lord. All I can do is examine myself. Is there any way that I've sinned? And if there is, to seek forgiveness, to forgive them even before they maybe have asked for forgiveness, and also to think the best of them. I don't see the full story. I don't see their hearts, but leave outcomes up to the Lord. Otherwise, it'll just end up in rooted in bitterness, and that's not a healthy place to be. Speaking of health, we can leave our health outcomes up to the Lord as well. And that doesn't mean that we do nothing, that we just eat anything we want. It doesn't mean that we don't sleep well. It doesn't mean that we drink more than we should. It doesn't mean that we don't exercise. In fact, we should do all of those things. There should be regular rhythms of movement every day, eating, paying attention to your macros and eating enough protein, drinking enough water, getting more than enough sleep. But leave the outcomes up to the Lord, because even when we do everything that we can, there's no guarantee about our health tomorrow. And then the last one is the last outcome is money. That I know a lot of people, including me at times, worry about money. I'm doing everything I can to stay healthy, to live as long and healthy as I can, to be able to enjoy the good gifts that God has given me down here, and to be able to serve and to live out my mission for as many years as possible. And it takes money to do that. And I have no idea, quite frankly, if I live to whatever, late 90s, early 100s, if I've got enough money to last. So I'm just being a wise steward today, trying to live generously, trying to live frugally, while at the same time enjoying life and not worrying about money 20 years down the road. Something else I've been processing and learning recently is after pastoring a church and leading a regional network of churches for over 20 years, I really feel like I had theological pride. And I'm really have grown over the last 2 years, and having grace for other churches and other Christians whose doctrine differs from mine. I want to be known more for a man that followed Jesus, that loved Jesus well and loved people well, who certainly had some theological convictions, but it never manifested itself in pride. And also, I want to be known as a man that holds the doctrines that I have convictions on today loosely, and I'm open to the Spirit of God and the Word of God changing my mind. Curiosity. It's been a word that's been important to me for the last few years. I'm naturally judgmental. I can size somebody up, or I can get a first opinion, and I want to be more curious. When people respond a certain way, or they maybe are holding a grudge against me, or they say a certain something in a way that causes me to pause, I'd rather pause in curiosity rather than judgment. That person is in process in the same way that I'm in process. And when I posture myself with curiosity, I can ask questions about what's behind that and understand that maybe what's behind that is a bad day, a bad week, a bad year, or wounds that go back decades that have yet to be healed. So I want to be characterized as a man who is curious rather than judgmental. And then next, I want to embrace intentional growth. At 68 years old, I notice a lot of older people are coasting. They don't have the daily disciplines or goals, and I don't think that's healthy long term. Another way that I want to intentionally grow is through self-examination. I don't want to slide into shame or regret or guilt. Sorrow's okay, but I want to examine myself. We all have blind spots. I have blind spots. And by the way, I need truth tellers in my life, and you need truth tellers in your life. Do you have somebody in your life that loves you enough that will come to you when you have patterns of sin or destructive behaviors in your life? We should want that, self-examination and also truth tellers in our life. Something that goes along with this is we are all being formed, that you are being formed. You are being formed by somebody and something. And it could be somebody's and some things. You're being formed by what you listen to, the news shows, the podcasts, the pastors that you listen to on the internet. You're being formed by those glances at pictures on the internet that maybe you think are innocent. We're being formed by the people that we hang around with. Paul says in Romans 12 that he encourages the believer to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And the way that we renew our mind is by reading the Word, by having, by ingesting and intaking good, holistic podcasts, articles, books, whatnot, and also hang around people who are life-giving. And remember, life-giving people are not just yes men and women, but they're ones that will not only laugh with us and cry with us, but they'll admonish us, and they will because they love us and they want the best to come out in us. And then in this intentional growth category, I want you to remember the acronym MVP. A friend of mine, Brian Mavis, came up with this in a coaching session, and it's most valuable practices. What are the most valuable practices that you can incorporate into your day that you can engage with on a daily basis? And you might want to run 5 miles a day, but in reality, the way that your schedule is organized, your life is organized, you may be able to only walk a mile, and that is okay. That mile walk is one of the most valuable practices for you where you're at today. So take an inventory of your life and your rhythms and determine what your most valuable practices can be. I want to transition. I've just got some high-level bullet points here. I have no idea how this is coming across. A couple of years ago, I started coming up with my word for the year. It's a word that I feel like I needed to grow in. And in 2025, it was present. I wanted to be present with people. Wherever I was, I wanted to be there. Whoever I was with, I wanted to be with them, whether it be my wife or my grandkids or my kids or my buddies or the people at the gym. I wanted to be there. In 2026, my word is invest. And let me explain what the context behind that, why I chose invest. I want to invest my time, my money, and my talents where the Lord directs. You see, wherever the Lord is leading, we can invest everything we have. And He's the one that will grow it. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to grow. But I want to invest where the Lord is directing. So I'm asking those questions. God, who do you want me to spend time with? Who do you want me to coach? Which guests do you want to bring on this podcast that will encourage and bring transformation? So this may not always result in an immediate or tangible return, but I want to be investing my time and talents and money where the Lord directs me. I want to give you just some insight into how my current week is structured. And I want first I think through weekly stones. These are the stones that go in first, that are immovable. And when I get up in the morning, there's no media or phone for the first hour. I am 15 months into this practice, and it's one of the most significant disciplines that I've incorporated in my life in decades, because it sets the trajectory for my day. No media or phone for the first hour. Instead, it's daily Bible reading. I've been reading through the Bible. This is my second year in a row to do it chronologically. Then a time of reflection and a time of journaling. And that hour goes by like that. And you may not have the ability, particularly for young parents, to do that. But I would encourage you to do the best you can to shut the phone off and be off media. And if you don't have that discipline yourself, there's a little resource that you can get for $49 called Brick, BRICK, where you can brick your phone and it shuts it down for certain hours of the day. Next is my daily workout. I don't do, as some of you know, I don't do early morning appointments anymore unless it's absolutely necessary, because of the routine that I used to get up about 5:45, 6, sometimes as late as 6:15. That first hour is what I just described, and then at 8:30, I leave at 8 o'clock for the gym, and I usually am at the gym from 8:30 until 9:30, 9:45, sometimes 10. I rarely miss that. My evenings are for Nancy. Occasionally I'll go out and do something with a buddy, but they are reserved for Nancy and us doing things together, just hanging out together, having dinner together, or doing something together with a couple or other couples. Our weekly community group has been a rock, and I anticipate it to continue to be a weekly rock as well. Weekly Sabbath. We started observing Sunday as a Sabbath a couple of years ago. And what that means for us is it's a time of feasting, it's a time of resting, it's a time of no technology, and no ordinary work, which is easy for me because I can set my ordinary work aside. Nancy's ordinary work is around the house, so it's been a little bit more of a challenge for her, but it's been really fun to fight for Sabbath rest on Sundays for us. And then you might go, what about the Sunday gathering? The Sunday gathering is historically has been a rock for us, and we like it to become a rock again. Right now, we're in the awkward process of looking for a church, and we haven't had to do that in 30 years. And we love the church that we've been a part of, the church that I was one of the pastors for almost 20 years. But the Lord just gave us permission to leave and explore. So if you think of us, you can actually be praying for us that we would find a church where we can be known and where we can know other people, where we can have a sense of belonging and even serving at some level. So that's our big rocks for the week. And then I have first level priorities, and that's my kids and my grandkids. It's my coaching clients. It's this podcast and the 40-day fight. And then it's speaking engagements and appearances on other podcasts. Those are first level priorities. Those are the things I go to first when I'm scheduling my week. And then second level priorities are connection with extended family and friends. And they're all important, but I like to think through it in a prioritized way. It's just easier to know what to say yes to and what to say no to. And then when I'm clear on my priorities, it's a constant effort of reprioritizing priorities. Reprioritizing priorities. So I think that's it for today. I hope that was helpful to you in some way. I want to just recite the prayer of Serenity that was actually goes back, I think, 60, 70 years. It's something that that AA has used, but it is a perfect prayer to start your day with as you think about relinquishing control to the Lord and living an intentional life. And here it is. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you are enjoying this podcast, would you share it? If you haven't clicked follow yet, would you do that? I don't know what platform you're listening to me on now, but we're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Again, this is my 30th episode. We do it every week. And I hope to do it. I'm going to do it every week for a year. I've committed to that. I guess that's actually a big rock. I've committed to every week. And it's hard to measure whether it's valuable or not. So reach out to me. A few of you have over the last few months and said that it has been valuable, and you've thanked me for it. So if it's valuable to you, or if you have any suggestions how I can improve, or even guests that I should have on, I would really like that. So I trust that today that you would enjoy the goodness of the Lord, that you would know that He is good, that He is loving, and that He is sovereign. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time with a new guest.